Hello, guys, and welcome back to another Legal Corner. Gav, thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks for having me back.
What are we talking about today, young Gav?
So, this is a case that we were involved in at Oxford County Court. And I think it's quite important just for all of us that insure our bikes.
Okay.
So
it's quite a general case, is it?
Yeah, it's specific to one particular insurer. And I'm in two minds whether we spell out everyone's name. I think I will, but I need to make clear, this is no criticism against that particular insurer.
Yes.
This is just a mistake they made. They doubled down on their mistake, and I'll give you the outcome.
Yes,
So,
okay.
the facts of the case, quite simple. Mr. X, I won't name him, he insured
Mr. X, yes, yeah.
So Mr. X insures his bike with Marker Study, okay? Good insurer. I've used them. They insure some of my bikes. And he lives in London in a block of flats.
Ooh.
I know, London and
Insurance.
bike insurance, doesn't go well.
Yeah.
But look, he got an insurance policy, fully comprehensive. It was a BMW GS or GSA.
So it's a pricey bike.
It's a pricey bike. Yeah.
This must have been a few years ago as well.
Last year.
Last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a fresh case. This is new, and he insures the bike. And one day he goes downstairs, and the bike's gone. Okay, it's been stolen. So he phones up the insurance company and says, "Look, my bike's been stolen. I need to bring a claim on the policy." So then starts the claims process.
Yeah.
Okay, so they obviously want to know what was the bike, when did you last see it, how was it secured, etc. Now, Marker Study, they record everything, by the way, not just Marker Study, all insurers.
Yeah, sure.
Which is good, because it protects you and it protects them. So there were recordings of Marker Study calling the client and saying, "Where was the bike parked?" And he says, "Well, in the underground car park." Now, this line of questioning carried on, and it went along the lines of, "Well, hang on, that's not a garage." And he went, "Well, no, it's a car park under my block of flats. I'm on flat level 4. I haven't got a garage outside my window. It's in the secure parking."
Private.
Private to the residents.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he thinks this is above board. The bike was locked up, and there should be no problem with the insurance company. The insurance company get him to admit in these phone calls that it was actually in a public car park, public for the residents, and it wasn't a secure garage, which he said it was on his insurance renewal.
Right, okay.
So they then use this to wriggle out of paying the claim. Okay. Now, Mr. X then comes to us and we advise him on the law and his options. And one of those options is to sue Marker Study. So we do that.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a claim against Marker Study, and the claim is for breach of contract. The breach is we insured the bike fully comp, it was stolen, and you've then refused to pay out. That's the breach part. Therefore, you owe us the value of the bike. And Marker Study defend it. Okay.
Right.
So now we've got live court proceedings that's going to trial. Now, the law on this changed back in 2013. Okay. So I'll read it out. The law, the Consumer Insurance Disclosure and Representation Act 2012, is what applies to this particular dispute.
Right.
Okay. And what the law says is that it is for Marker Study to prove that Mr. X was misrepresented the insurance renewal, the policy.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a misrepresentation on his part, which has then induced Marker Study into insuring that risk. And if he had never misrepresented it, they wouldn't have offered the insurance. Okay, the burden's on them. Now, what they do with these audio recordings, they tender it as evidence in the court proceedings to say, look, he knew it wasn't a secure garage, he was wrong, and therefore we are right to defend it, we're not paying anything out. Okay. This is high risk, by the way. This is a high risk case because
above 20 grand or whatever it is.
Well, above 10.
Above 10.
Yeah,
yes.
above 10. So we've got something called the small claims limit, and if you sue someone for between £1 and £10,000, or 9,999, you're a small claim, and the starting point is if you lose, there is no order as to legal costs. Okay, so I could sue you, you could sue me, we could lose. Doesn't matter. We don't have to pay those costs. If you're over £10,000, you're something called a fast track, and legal costs are recoverable. Okay. Now, the real difficult part of this to swallow, the lawyers for Marker Study put in a cost bill just shy of £30,000. Okay. So this is their lawyering, defending the case, gathering their evidence, going to trial.
Where did they pluck that figure from?
Well, what lawyers have to do, we have to put a statement of costs in.
Yeah.
And
you are expensive, yeah.
well, yeah. I mean, law is not cheap,
yeah.
and they say these are our costs. Now, the reason I say it's really high risk, if he goes to trial and the judge is not with him, and we lose, he is not only not going to get any money for the stolen bike, he's going to be facing a 30 grand bill. Okay,
just to really kick you in the nuts while you're down.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, it's high risk, and not many people can swallow a 30 grand bill and recover and just carry on, So I was like, it's really high risk to really top off the fact your bike's been nicked. And so we have a trial. Now, the judge at that trial hears from Mr. X. Now, he used the bike insurer website to get his policy of insurance.
Yeah.
That's common. People use brokers, Bmoto, lots of brokers, online systems as well. If you don't want to phone someone, you can go online. And the bike insurer, no criticism of them whatsoever. They have a drop-down box in which you've got 6 options, okay, for Mr. X to choose where his bike is parked. Now, those 6 options are quite important because they are driveway, locked garage, road, parked on the road, car parked, locked compound, and kept on private property. So of those 6 options, the judge actually makes a finding that 4 of them apply in this case.
Right.
Okay. So Mr. X could have chosen any 4 of those and they would have been accurate.
Right.
And because he chose one of those, Marker Study cannot show that he has misrepresented where the bike is parked.
Fair play.
So they fail.
Was he a biker?
They-
Was the judge a biker?
No, do you know what? I don't think the judge was a biker. No. I've had cases where the judge was a biker. Yeah. And I mean, they shouldn't let that taint their judgment. Of
course it does.
Yeah, no,
of course it does.
Well, I say the same. If you go to court and imagine the judge is not a biker, and that morning they've not had their breakfast, got cut up by a bike, and they're grumpy, then they might be extra grumpy to the biker's case. But in this case, Marker Study could not show that the case was misrepresented. They lost at trial, and Mr. X was then awarded the value of the bike and his costs. So we get paid because we've brought the claim and we've won it. I mean, it goes to show, I think, that if you're going to go online and use these, compare the market websites, Bike Insurer and anyone else, they don't always perfectly fit what the insurer wants to know before they underwrite the risk. But that's not your problem. That's the insurer's problem.
Yes.
Okay. I say it's not your problem. Here we had a contested claim.
Exactly.
So it very much was his problem. But the law is on the side of the biker because the judge actually gave short thrift to the recordings. So when they ended this evidence in, saying, "Well, you agreed it wasn't a secure car park, and you should have picked another option," the judge went, "Well, hang on. Those recordings were carried out after the contract had been entered into. So they're not relevant. They were not relevant at the time you took out the contract because they didn't exist. They only came into existence after the claim had been put to them. There's a stolen bike." So the judge went, "No, I'm just not going to look at that because it's not relevant." But it goes back. If the insurer is unsure of the risk they're insuring, they need to ask you questions and you need to be honest.
Yes.
You need to be honest when you answer those questions. I mean, in this case, he could have picked 4. 4 of the 6 options were an honest response to where is your bike kept overnight. So could have been an expensive lesson, wasn't. Hats off to Mr. Dalton, by the way, because he actually...
Oh, was it Andrew?
Andrew. Okay. Yeah, Andrew Dalton conducted the trial. And... so whereas the lawyers on the other side were sort of 2 or 3 up with a barrister, Andrew took this on himself, advised the client, went to trial, did the trial, and won. Just hands flat. So
okay.
yeah.
So just slightly off topic.
Yeah.
Is this another reason to spend time on the phone to the insurer rather than doing all the drop-down menus and stuff on the website? Because you think it might be easier, or it's definitely quicker to do it on the internet and click. But really, in fact, when you haven't got everything in, the insurer, or you haven't got everything 100% clarity for both sides to see, could be an argument that actually spending a bit more time on the phone with them might help.
Yeah, I'd agree with that in general.
Yeah.
And that's not to say there's not a place for buying insurance policies online.
No, sure.
That's perfectly right and proper. Whenever I've purchased policies over the phone, you're dealing with them direct, market study, whoever the underwriter is. If you go via a broker, the broker might have more information or can ask questions of you that a website can't. Because a website is only as good as it's been coded.
Yes.
In the bike insurance, it's got 6 options. Whereas you can tell a broker over the phone, my bike is kept, in a public car park, but it's secured. You have to have an entry pass, and they go, right, we understand that, sir. Thank you very much. So yes, but your obligation is to answer honestly any questions put to you. It's for them to ask the appropriate questions.
Yeah.
That's how the law has changed since 2013.
Right,
so the onus is on them. So as long as you're honest, as long as you're straightforward with your answers, they should ask the relevant ones for them to underwrite the risk. And if they've done that, should be no problem.
There we go. Be honest. Thanks, mate.
No problem. Thanks for having me.